Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 26th episode of the R2 Sense podcast. We know we've taken a while off. We let the award season and everyone's natural obsession with pop culture remain unfiltered from our opinions until it was over. But we're back now.
And to start off with our discussion of the award season, first of all, we're going to be offering our 2 cents on Oscars that took place just a week ago. And
Yeah.
a lot went down during that evening.
Yeah.
Not just in terms of the awards given out, but also other
Yeah, but
stuff.
before we get ahead of ourselves, before we get to the reason the Oscars had a 58% increase in viewership, let's focus on what's
What the
important
Oscars
actually
are
for
actually about.
yeah, and what was actually important, which was the awards that were given out. Uh, so we'll just go over some of the categories in a bit, but just for general perception, these Oscars actually did one. I think these were the first Oscars where you didn't see as much fighting over the awards because it seemed like as if with the past award shows that were happening, like the SAG Awards or the BAFTAs, like whoever was winning there essentially did win at the Oscars as well. So
Yeah.
there wasn't as much surprise element involved.
I would say the
But
SAG Awards are like the most accurate representation of who wins at the Oscars because the BAFTAs, the Critics' Choice Awards, there was still a lot of variation in who was winning, especially in the Best Picture and Best Actor and Actress categories. But yeah, the SAG Awards are generally the closest it comes to who wins the Oscars, and they also take place like right before the Oscars as well.
yeah. But there were also some historical things, like Riz Ahmed won, in a smaller category, but won an Oscar, which was a huge thing for obviously for Pakistanis everywhere.
I think it was a
And
smart choice on his part as well. I think he won an Oscar for best writing as well, not in acting.
he won it. Yeah, he wrote a document.
Yeah,
Like, it was either documentary or short. It's called The Long Goodbye. It was a short
yeah.
documentary. Yeah. And also Jane Campion won her second Best Director, which also makes her the only woman to have won Best Director twice. I think it's also the first time that a female has won 2 years in a row.
Yeah.
So after Chloe Zhao last year. So, it was a very nice ceremony, very historical ceremony for all the right reasons.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's get
generally seeing the Oscars, generally Academy Award shows, especially the Oscars and the Grammys. Other award shows like the Critics' Choice Awards, SAGs, BAFTAs, they never had the sort of viewership to begin with. But back in 2015 and onwards, all the Oscars and Grammys in particular have been celebrated a lot. And the fact that for the last 3 years, their viewership has been declining like anything. I mean, just by the fact that I was reading the other day that even concert films these days have more viewership than these awards. But generally, the main thing that is different is for the sake of diversity, the celebrity pool that they invite, especially as presenters and and for the red carpet in particular, has been very less known celebrities. And I get it, it's because of the diversity, and it's good with the fact that they're including as many cultures and ethnicities as possible. But those A-list celebrities that once made the Oscars what it is are not there anymore. And I feel that is one of the major reasons for the decline in viewership.
Yeah, even though the Oscars are kind of lucky in the sense that at least everyone who's nominated does come. They're not like the Grammys where there'll be artists who are nominated for multiple, and like Taylor and Ariana skipped the Grammys this year despite their nominations. So it's not like them in which even a nomination isn't securing that that person is going to attend the ceremony. Here, the Oscars too generally still have a pretty big guest list of people who even show up for presenting. Like Lady Gaga still showed up to present. I think she presented Best Picture actually, and she wasn't even nominated for her work, despite being nominated in everything else except the SAG Awards, which also show how important those are in terms of your lead actress nomination. Let's get into the awards a little. So let's talk about the acting categories. In Best Supporting Actor, Troy Kotsur won for his work in Coda. Uh, his only real competition was Cody Smith McPhee in Power of the Dog. I think he
Yeah.
won the Golden Globe. But other than that, the supporting actor category didn't have a lot of competition going on this year. As with most years, honestly, like I remember Brad Pitt won for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood,
Yeah.
which
He also won the
yeah,
BAFTA at that time.
yeah. So it isn't really always the most crowded category. Best supporting actress was won by the person who was sweeping the award shows. Like no one could even think twice on who was winning. So it was won by Ariana DeBose
Also,
for
I
West Side
think
Story.
her only real competition was from the Power of Dog supporting actress Christine Dunst, because I think that was the only major competition that she had in a category.
I'm pretty sure in this category, Judi Dench was nominated for like 90 seconds of screen time or something in Belfast. So it was weird.
Yeah. But before we move
But
on to
what
the
scene?
main categories, there are a few others. Best visual effects surprisingly went to Dune, even though, yeah, even though there was still a lot of criticism based on that some of the CGI, since it was a CGI heavy movie, there was like a lot of comparison to other big blockbusters like Avatar, like Avengers, that somehow their CGI had a more refined touch to them. So I was still surprised that Dune managed to win. And also Hans Zimmer won his, I don't know which Oscar, because he ends up winning every other
Uh,
Oscar for his soundtrack. But another, when it comes to best original score, that went to Billie Eilish and Phineas. I
yeah,
would
for no.
say again, their only real competition was Beyonce, but
Actually, the song from Encanto was also competition because it did win in some of the precursors, so people weren't sure who would win. But this was also generally one of the less competitive best original song like
it
runs.
was an easy win
Uh,
for Billie as well.
yeah, so was it last year? Like her
Yeah,
won the Oscar for Fight for You, and it was just a which is actually it's interesting that had the movie No Time to Die not been released later, Billy would have actually had probably might have lost this Oscar to her because her Fight for You was released in the Grammys eligibility period this year, but No
yeah.
Time to Die won the Grammy last year, so it's give or take.
But also
Uh,
like let's just also I honestly then this was my least favorite Bond theme as well. I mean
and
that yes,
no,
Skyfall,
I really like the song. I like the performance as well,
yeah.
but
But also this was like the third Bond theme as well to win an Oscar.
yeah.
So
It's the
that's
only
also
thing James Bond movies win Oscars for.
yeah, to be honest.
Anyway,
Um,
moving on to the major categories now.
yeah,
I think
so
the most competitive
they
category
were
was,
very competitive, and I
yeah,
think the
both of
most
them were actually.
competitive throughout the award season was Best Actress throughout the
Yeah,
award season.
just like last year, actually. Even last year, in fact, it was more competitive. Last year was a little more competitive because everyone won like a piece of the awards. Like I remember last
Yeah,
year was mainly between Frances McDormand and I think Carey Mulligan for Promising Young
yeah.
Woman. But
But
and then
this
this
time you had
year,
all the big names. You had Penelope
yeah,
Cruz, you had Nicole Kidman, Christine Stewart, Olivia Colman, and Jessica Chastain. So,
yeah. So these are all like I'm pretty sure all of them have been nominated before,
yeah.
except Kristen Stewart, obviously, who was the fan favorite coming into this.
But also Christine Stewart like lost every award show.
She also, by the way, she wasn't nominated for SAG either. So people were very surprised that she
Yeah.
was
But
nominated for the
also
Oscar.
her acting in Spencer, there's no question that she did a
Yeah.
splendid job, because she really outdid herself with that role, especially seeing her previous filmography. She has never done a role like this. And
Yeah.
I think it was her first time after the whole her how her public image was sort of maligned back during those days, that this was like her revival sort of period. And I think she did a really good job coming back, showing that she can act really well. But
Yeah.
I do feel that the role Penelope Cruz played of a single mother, that performance was also very good, and it was a role that is a lot of that is very relatable in today's world compared to Olivia Colman's and
Being
Jessica Chastain's
nominated,
role.
being nominated for a completely Spanish film like is a big
Yeah,
thing as well. Uh, but and obviously like I haven't seen The Lost Daughter, but it had 2 acting nominations from it. So and Olivia Colman
yeah.
generally just wins everything as well. So I'm sure that was great. But Jessica Chastain was the leading favorite coming into this. It is great for her to win an Oscar. I feel like her filmography is very diverse, which makes people think that she's not that serious of an actress because she's done disasters like It and Dark Phoenix. But The Eyes of Tammy Faye was a great film.
She also
Andrew
had
Garfield was
another disaster
fantastic.
film alongside Eyes of Tammy Faye. I remember it was in Agent 355, something sort of movie, and
Yeah,
that also flopped really bad. And so when she did Eyes of Tammy Faye, I was like, is this another flop or success? But it was actually a really good movie.
yeah,
So
and it rose to fame because of the award season. Like people weren't really talking about it prior, but
yeah,
yeah, the film also won, I think, best makeup and hairstyling.
yeah.
So it was a big thing for that too. Before we move on to best actor, I just want to point out also Bradley Cooper was nominated for best supporting actor, and I think Bradley Cooper now has like the most losses in the Oscars. Like he has like 9 nominations and still hasn't won anything.
No, but
So
I think doesn't Meryl Streep have more losses?
Meryl Streep has won as well now, so he has the most losses with no wins. Meryl Streep has 3 out of like 18, I think.
Yeah, but the ratio of Meryl Streep is worse, I
Yeah, the
think.
ratio is probably at 1 out of 6 is worse. Well, anything 0 out of anything is 0. So,
Yeah.
uh,
But also
and then
before we move on to Best Actor, we'll discuss that thing along with Best Actor.
all
But
right,
yeah, Best Picture. Again, I think like not to undermine how good the movie was, but given the Academy Awards reputation of now giving this award to more indie films, more diverse films, films that are more culturally inclusive, especially when it went to Parasite, it went to Nomadland, now it went to Coda, which was basically made by people who are mute. Um, so again, they're setting this trend, and I think if they continue this trend, it's going to actually be a problem because
yeah.
when
Speaking of that,
yeah,
so it was weird with Best Picture this year. This was the one category where people actually had problems with since the start of the nominations.
yeah,
Because on one hand, they try to do a lot of fans, not fan service, but industry service with this category, just to try to get people to come. They nominated Don't Look Up just with the hope that anyone from that cast would come, and none of them did. And the same kind of went for like they expanded the nominations in this category from other than 5, like I think 8 to 10 films were nominated
yeah.
here. So that was there as well, but at the same time there was still a lot of objections people had. Like Jimmy Kimmel did a whole monologue on why No Way Home wasn't nominated instead of Don't Look Up when no one, like half the world hated it.
But also,
And
I feel, and I don't know actually how I feel about big sci-fi movies getting nominated in this category, because even though they are the main driving force of the entire movie industry nowadays, like you compare any one of the box office revenues of these movies combined, I'm pretty sure they don't even make half of what sci-fi movies, be it DC,
yeah,
Marvel, Star Wars, not even half of what they make. But again, I think there's still something about these indie movies, especially with the portrayal of characters, with their plots, that people relate to them. But I don't like. I don't know how to feel about this clash, like in general. The closest
Yeah, I
the
mean,
Academy came was Black Panther.
yeah, it is really difficult because at the same time, these are films which are amazing and they deserve more attention. And the only way they get that attention is through stuff like the Oscars, or in other cases, stuff
Yeah.
like the Grammys, where when they give it to a more obscure artist or obscure production house, they really rise in value. And sometimes that's really important. I agree. But the problem that's coming in with the Oscars is, like, for example, I think giving it to Coda was a great thing. I
Yeah.
think it's big. Yeah, I agree with it way more than I perhaps agreed with Nomadland's Best Picture, for example, even though last year wasn't as competitive.
Yeah.
Uh, so
That
maybe
award
that would
season
be,
wasn't competitive.
yeah. But over here, the only real competition was Power of the Dog, I think, which was winning
And
in the earlier
Belfast.
part of, and Belfast. So Power of the Dog and Belfast were winning in the earlier parts of the season. I feel like any of these three would have actually been a great pick. Belfast is a black and white film set, and it did win the Oscar for Best Original Screenplay, which I think is what the Kenneth Braga really wanted, because it's his life story. So him literally winning an Oscar for his life story is great enough for the writing part. Uh, I do feel kind of sad about Benedict Cumberbatch losing, mainly because of the other reason we still have to get into. But other than that, I do feel like giving it to Coda is great, just because it's a wonderful film which has gotten a lot more attention, and generally it has increased awareness about this whole new, even for me, this whole new sector of actors
Yeah.
who are doing great. Like, for example, I didn't even know that the actress who plays Makari in
In
Eternals
Eternals. Yeah.
is also actually mute. So
It's
that's
also
a
kind
huge
of
thing.
unfair when you compare the talent of these people to the talent of people who have that ability. And I think there is a lot of room for argument here, whether you can say whether these people deserve a separate category, but again, that category will never be held to the same standard that this category would have then.
Yeah, that does make it difficult. It really does. So, I mean, that's also the burden that comes on the academy, I guess, and when they're
Yeah.
trying to make decisions. Uh, anyway, best
Best
actor.
actor went to Will Smith. I
Yes.
was genuinely happy for Will Smith,
Yeah.
excluding anything that happened before that.
Let's be
Him
honest,
winning the
award was
Oscar,
overdue.
yeah, having a career that spanned so long, and to finally be able to get that recognition from the Academy, winning Best Actor, it really, and I won't even say he didn't deserve it. He did. His acting in King Richard was actually really good. I would say it was like on par with Benedict Cumberbatch. Andrew Garfield, I felt in Tic Tic Boom really, he didn't sort of surprise me that much. Because I think he's had way better performances. But
I'm glad that he was just nominated. Again, Andrew Garfield was also like Kristen Stewart, who had missed out on nominations in some of the other
yeah,
award season, unless there was a separate category for musicals. That's where he was winning generally. But other than that, so I'm glad that he was nominated, because Tick Tick Boom was generally kept out. Like Lin-Manuel Miranda wasn't
yeah,
nominated, which is what people actually thought would happen. So I'm glad that that did happen. The film got recognition. Generally, all the films in the Best Actor category, I don't remember what Javier Bardem was nominated for being the Ricardos, but I haven't seen that. So I don't know what Nicole Kidman did either. I've heard the film is
but she's
controversial as
also
well.
had, she's also, I feel like, is an Oscar favorite. She's had a lot of nominations in the past.
But like Denzel Washington was also just honorary status nominee at this point. But Tragedy of Macbeth is also a great film from what I've heard. So this was a nice competitive category, and for, like Andrew Garfield said, just to be nominated in these bunch of people was a huge deal. I'm sure it was for Benedict Cumberbatch as well. They're still younger actors in comparison. But yeah, addressing the elephant in the room, I don't think we want to get into the right.
What the
I mean,
joke
there was
actually meant, but
there was a clear wrong though, and the main wrong is why we started this video, or well, this episode of discussing the awards as well, was that no one was watching the Oscars for the awards anymore. No one
Yeah.
really cared about the awards anymore. Everyone just cared about giving their opinion about this thing, about the incident
And
as soon as
honestly, I
possible.
feel like I've heard too many opinions to give my opinion, but I'm gonna give it
Yeah,
anyway.
I swear, and honestly, like Daniel Radcliffe said this, that he's just bored of hearing people talk about
Yeah,
it
he
and
just
doesn't
doesn't
want
want
to
to
add
add
more.
to the drama. I think he
And
said
that's
that.
kind of my opinion as well. Like on the first day, I was willing to give an opinion, but now it's become such a long, drawn out, and so many weird things are surrounding it. Half the Oscars say they asked him to leave, half of them are saying they didn't ask him to leave. It's
Yeah.
come down to a huge, weird thing.
It has
Uh,
come down to his resignation as well.
yeah, he has resigned from the academy. And again, it's just a really sad. I think that everyone lost because of this one incident. Like, on one
Yeah.
hand, my class act to Chris Rock for not making a scene over there. But beyond
What I
that, like,
didn't like was the sort of reaction by celebrities who were already there. Um,
yeah.
yeah, because one hand you saw the presenters, you saw people like Zoe Kravitz, Jimmy Kimmel, everyone taking different sides and sort of, it was really more like service to them that they were just doing this because I think every celebrity tried to cash in on the opportunity that this happened while they were there. And it
I
really,
mean, I think it's also like everyone was confused. Apparently, a lot of them actually didn't know if this was like a comedy sketch or if it
yeah,
wasn't. And there was just this general confusion amongst the crowd as to what, and naturally so, there was a general confusion for us who were watching it after it had happened as to what had really happened. So
yeah.
that's what I'm saying. It's just a sad thing that all of the awards that happened after, and a very historical and generally good Oscars, better than what the Grammys did, or generally good Oscars in terms of the
But
awarding,
also
got ruined.
Grammy presenters are way more brutal. They,
Yeah,
yeah, and I mean, I know, and the Oscars are generally that award show where the presenters really don't have, they basically have freedom to make any joke they deem fit. And I think that also has like, that also obviously led to this incident because even if the joke was, but also like seeing Will Smith's reaction to how he was laughing at it first, and
and to
also,
be fair, there was a lot of jokes. Like a lesser part, which people didn't like about the Oscars, were the hosts this year.
yeah.
The Oscars returned to host, and people really didn't like Amy Schumer hosting because she made a joke about Leonardo DiCaprio's girlfriend. Then she called Kristen Dunst a seat warmer, and then had to go on and say that she had taken
And
consent
also
before the
half her
judges.
jokes were already like stolen from Twitter as well. So
Yeah, the climate change girlfriends one was stolen from Twitter. So honestly, I am fine with the Oscars just leaving comedy out as it is in its entirety if it
no, but
wants to.
like I remember back in the 2018 ceremony, I remember Christine Wiig and Maya Rudolph threw literal shade at the fact that that year there were only male directors nominated in Best Director, and I remember that was a really big thing back then that there were no female directors nominated. And
Yeah, there
they
have been
they
these
handled
couples.
it well, and I feel like it's all about the presenters and it's all about the hosts, because if you have people who are experienced, they try to make sure they don't cross the line but also they get their point across. And the
Also,
cat,
like
yeah,
I wouldn't say that Chris Rock wasn't an experienced presenter. Heck, Trevor Noah has said more politically incorrect things at the Grammys over the
yeah,
past 2 years. But I think that, and even if someone says something politically incorrect, I think the reaction that came was something that no one expects from, like, the first thing my brother said was, Will Smith's the nicer part of Hollywood. So from him especially was something that I don't think anyone would have expected, especially him. So that really set the tone wrong.
if there's anything that could have gone down differently as in with the outcome, I don't get the point of an internal investigation lasting that long because everything
Yeah.
that sort of happened in front
More
of
public.
everyone's eyes,
Yeah.
happened on camera. There really isn't any need for any internal investigation, especially if the academy, even if they asked him to leave or even if they didn't. I get the fact that he was in the wrong that one should never resort to violence no matter what. But the things that I'm reading about them taking back his Oscar and etc. Again, I don't think it's sort of that necessary, especially if he's apologized publicly and maybe, and even Chris Rock is like has accepted his apology.
I mean, it also comes down to even if they take his Oscar back, like, will they give it again? Whoever gets it won't really want it. It'll be
no one would want it, and even if it goes to someone like Benedict Cumberbatch or Andrew Garfield, I don't think I don't think that ever
the whole world knows they were second place in voting. So it won't, like, had they not announced it, okay, maybe an upset, but unexpected things that happen at the Oscars and people would forget. Now it's clear that someone did win and this is just a consolation prize. So I hope they don't go that route. It's unfortunate what happened, and I think that's like the best way to put it, really. So I guess we'll just wrap this up right now in terms of the overall like ceremony and how it went down. Most of the Oscars were nice and good. We don't really get to watch the whole ceremony. Like, I haven't seen most of the acceptance speeches.
I saw most of the ceremony. I really did like Megan Thee Stallion's performance.
Okay, so people are really divided about that, and I get why, because I heard We Don't Talk About Bruno, the song, after I saw the Oscar performance. So I liked the performance, but when I heard the song, I get why people wanted the cast to perform the whole song, because the song has so many layers and stuff. Adding Luis Fonsi and Megan felt kind of weird, but I did like her verse and it was nice. So
but also the general atmosphere of the Oscars, they've completely lost that old Hollywood aesthetic with the like this. It was like a bit too dark, to be honest. Like generally,
that too. Honestly, I miss when the Oscars felt like this royal ceremony. There used to be so many people coming. Like, I remember there was once a time where it went to present Best Actor. Either the last 5 best actors would come out or the last 5 best actresses would come out and talk about each nominee a little, and there would be a huge it would seem like an event. Like when Heath Ledger won, it felt like, even though it was posthumous, where it felt like a huge ceremony just for that Oscar being awarded. I hope they kind of return to that more and less on the other like side things they've started.
Also have more well-known celebrities attend, in addition to all the new ones that you're going to invite. Because honestly, like for example, I talked about this to Ali as well, like the Bailey sisters presenting. So there was like this transition from like last to last year, you had people like Gal Gadot, Kristen Wiig, Maya Rudolph, people who are well known presenting. And now to people who aren't well known, or even who aren't even in the movie industry and are in the music industry presenting. So obviously, when there are less well-known celebrities, the viewership is automatically going to decline. And even I don't know whether the viewership, like obviously the viewership increased because of the Will Smith incident. But generally, when you record a viewership of an event, it's basically from start to finish, or not even start to finish. It's kind of like midway till like the end. And given that the event happened not midway, it happened close to the 3/4 of the ceremony. So I don't know how much we can attribute the increase in viewership because of the incident. That's also like a question that will remain unanswered. So we don't really know.
The idea of the Oscars to shuffle around seats to put the nominees in front and then put them back, and it's all, they don't need to do that. We're fine with seeing the people walk the stage. Not everyone is Jennifer Lawrence and will fall on the way. It's fine.
And even Billy and Phineas were not even near the stage. They were like behind the stage. So the whole seating arrangement, and it literally looks like you're at a restaurant. You have this round tables, those round sofas. So like,
last year it made sense because they were at a little train station or something, but this year they had a proper hall.
But also like the Grammys this year, like they basically did a mashup of both previous of how they previously looked like and how they did with the 2021 ones, where there were just nominees and there were just round tables with two people at each nominee table. And they sort of put both of those together, nominees in front with those round tables, and then the entire arena full of other people. That still made sense, but the Oscars, you don't get the vibe that you got with them in the
Yeah.
previous years.
Anyway, I guess that should wrap things up. And so we're back with more regular episodes now, hopefully, and we'll keep you entertained during exam season and
Yeah.
ourselves seen as well. So that was our 2 cents on the Oscars. I was trying to remember which